This is the Okayest Hunter podcast. Never pass on shooter bucks, because that's just meat in the freezer. It's your tag, you hunt how you want. This is Okayest Hunter.
What up? Welcome to the Okayest Hunter podcast. We're in the Okayest Hunter podcast studio here in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. I know there's someone somewhere listening to this and they know where that is. And they're like, whoo, I know where that is.
Coming to you live from
And they
your
get
mom's basement.
Thanks, buddy. Pretty much. Anyway, yeah, thanks for joining us tonight for another episode. We got some guests in studio. We'll get to that in just a second and get you guys introduced and bring you in and chat it up. But first things first, we're brought to you by Spartan Forge. They are our premier presenting sponsor. They actually just shared our post today on Instagram with a buck that is on the table here. So that was really nice of them to do. It was a full range movement day and a very abnormal movement day. And that means that those deer were far out of their comfort zone doing weird deer things to get that action. So
Weird deer things in action.
to get action.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, on a cold day, would you want to get out of your bed? But if there's motivation, you'll get out of your bed and you'll travel for it.
This
Right.
is true.
So there's that. Gosh, I got to pull up I feel like it's been a while, even though we did 2 episodes last week. Deer camp just happened. So I killed a lot of brain cells last weekend, and I'm just trying to get my bearings under me. Latitude Outdoors, I hunted out of the saddle for gun season for the first time ever. I've never done gun hunting out of a saddle.
It's nice, I got to say.
It wasn't bad.
Other than the wind chapping my ass, it was pretty good.
Were you in the saddle?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Until about 10:30. I lasted from 5:30 in the morning until 10:30 in the morning, and then the 20-mile-an-hour wind and, temperatures in
It was
the
brutal.
teens.
Yeah, we all know. If you're in
That's
the Midwest,
enough.
it was brutal. Go Wild is a partner of ours. So all of the codes you can use for everybody is OHP. By the way, you'll save money, 20% on Spartan Forge, 10% or 20% on Latitude accessories, 10% on Go Wild. I want to talk about Go Wild for 2 seconds before we get to our last sponsor. And there's a reason we're holding out on you guys on that. We got a notification today from we have a Giphy account. So if you're on like your iPhone or you're on Facebook and you want to do a GIF, you can find us there. We have a bunch of stuff. And one of our GIFs got removed because we apparently violated their community guidelines. But it had been a year since we posted this GIF. And they're like, all of a sudden, this has been removed. You can't show violent things. And it was my buddy dragging a deer. And
Yeah,
like,
it was just
he
Mike.
was just out of shape. Couldn't breathe.
Puffin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, is this Giphy?
I think
Yeah,
so.
it's kind of weird. You got to type in like hunting maybe or something. And then eventually you'll probably find us in here. I'll see if I can. Here's one. Here's Greg swinging from a tree. So hopefully that one doesn't get removed for like dangerous behavior or whatever the hell it's going to be. And our TikTok account has a big, huge warning right now of we're in violation of community guidelines. We've gotten a wrist slap one too many times apparently. So they're like, look, you're on thin ice here. But I think because we're like advertising through their platform, they're kind of giving us some leeway maybe.
Until
Anyway,
I don't.
Go Wild doesn't slap your wrist for those things at all. They will not remove your content. You won't violate their community guidelines unless you're just a dick. But it will have nothing to do with the content you're posting as it relates to deer hunting. So if you're looking for a place to go where you're not going to get censored and removed and silenced and canceled, go to Go Wild. I promise you it'll be worth it. And last but not least, the buck that's on the table that Spartan Forge helped me find and locate in terms of deer movement and all that jazz and using their app and stuff was actually killed by a Vector arrow and a Vector broadhead. And if you want to save some money on Vector Custom Shop, 10% OHP will get you there. We got some Vector guys here in studio with us. It's not Isaac because he's been here too many times. We told him to get the hell out of here.
Or he's just too cool for us. Or he's tired and has other things he needs to do, like family.
I don't know what he's doing, actually. Maybe you guys know.
He's not having fun.
No.
No,
But-
we're the fun ones.
Okay.
But
fair
Ben,
enough.
you're in town.
Yep.
Co-founder.
No, not
No?
really.
Okay.
It's kind of brought on later on.
Data geek guy.
Sure. we can
Okay.
roll with it.
Just tell me if I'm totally wrong.
No, it was close enough. Yeah.
Brad, engineer, savant, genius of the company.
Oh, I don't know if we go that far.
Engineer.
That's what my degree says.
Okay. Genius.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Genius.
Good. Yeah.
Sioux Line, Canadian Pacific, Amtrak. Wasn't funny, was it?
No trains.
No trains.
Wrong hat.
Wrong hat.
Yep.
Way over his head.
Yeah.
See, he's even laughing.
Oh,
He
engineer.
kind of got it.
I got
It's
it.
kind of funny.
I caught back up.
Okay.
I was a little slow on
Yeah,
the.
your train was a little
There's
slow.
no coal in my engine.
No. Now you're old
You're the
school.
little engine that couldn't.
Yeah.
You just ain't gonna.
So Wednesday, I lost my last iron will broadhead. Lost my second arrow of the season by flinging an arrow at a buck that I missed completely because it hit a branch and I
So,
don't. know
This is
why.
actually really cool. One of the best ways we've found to help people just not lose arrows is by not missing. You should give it a try.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me.
It's
But
pretty helpful.
That's not true because people that get full pass throughs lose arrows all the time because they keep going into the ground. And you can't. That one had a full pass through. I never found the arrow. Buried itself somewhere.
That way that arrow doesn't have any blood on it.
They just
Yeah,
cleaned
that's
it.
just one of the ones you guys outfitted me with,
Oh.
and I thought it looked
Right.
nice up there.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
touching piece.
Here.
Yeah,
This one
yes.
looks. Well,
Yeah, we'll upgrade the veins.
yep.
There we
You
go.
get the new veins too now.
Are there? I feel like I've been through two sets of veins with you guys. I just got those this season.
Oh
We
yeah,
did.
we changed.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
before that, I still have them. I have orange veins on a different set on the HMRs, Yeah,
Sure.
but not
The-
like that.
Yeah, the Q2I.
Yep.
orange veins,
Q2I.
Back when we had colors.
Yep.
Yep.
V1, right?
The OG.
Yeah, the OG.
Because we used to be where to hunt. Our color was like orange, and then we rebranded. 2 summers ago now? I don't
Yeah.
remember 2 summers ago.
Yep.
So what's your main color?
Brown.
We don't have that color.
No.
You-
We
I
don't
would never
want that
find. I would
color
never
either.
find those arrows. I would never find it.
No.
Yeah, we
Let's
lost
make
the-
it harder for them to find arrows. Let's make them brown.
Historically, I always shot green and white or chartreuse and green or chartreuse and white. So pretty easy colors to pick out if you can find your arrow buried in the canary grass.
It was nice having the white
Right.
to see the blood. So I had
Mhm.
actually I
Exactly.
texted Isaac and then called him right away. He was one of the first people I called. So I'm like, he didn't even know I had the new broadheads. He didn't know that you drove them out here and brought them to me.
Yep.
But it basically gutted the deer for me because it was a 1/4-2 shot, from a tree stand going down, and it like went in
Long
double
liver
lung
guts.
and then down through the belly. So when I found him, he was halfway gutted. It was a pretty easy gut job. I'll let Greg to help me. Right, there's 2 on the side.
Yep.
You should put gloves on before you handle these.
I'm not touching them because I sliced my finger open on one. I'm pretty.
You just
nervous.
screw them into the arrow.
These look sweet, man. It's been a while since I've shot a 3-blade. I've been stuck on the 2-blade with bleeder. I like them because they're reliable and I can caveman sharpen them.
Oh yeah, those are yours now.
Oh wow! Okay, great.
Thank you.
You'll have to tell me how I can use these.
You screw them into your arrow.
I knew
you
you-
find
I
a
knew I was
deer
gonna
and you
come-
shoot them.
I'm
just
you
laying
shoot
it up
them in
for
the
you
mushy
guys.
part.
Once
But, like-
again, the not missing part comes key.
Yeah.
But I was pretty jacked to have that happen with your guys' setup. That's the
Oh,
second
that's awesome.
deer I've killed with my bow, and and I've only ever killed them with the vector arrows because that one was with an HMR.
hmm
But a
Yep.
QAD broadhead from before I switched to Iron Will and now to you guys.
The Exodus. Yeah.
So
It's a good broadhead.
Yeah, those are pretty much the 3 heads we want people to use.
tell me more. Which ones?
An Exodus, Iron Wheels, or ours.
Wow! So I was doing pretty
Yeah.
good this whole
Mhm.
time.
Like those 3 are some of the best options you got.
You're welcome.
They're sharp. They're
are sharp.
very sharp.
They're very sharp.
Like, they're
You
very
found
sharp.
that out.
So I guess I don't know, calculator.
Yep.
And then we can get into product design.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what you got going on.
Uh,
How'd you come to Vector? What
so
happened?
I blew my shoulder out and had shoulder surgery and couldn't do anything.
Mhm.
And then I found a Facebook post asking for help on a project with 0 budget. And I somehow thought that was a good idea. So I kind of been involved since, and then got more involved with more stuff and ended up getting with Brad building all this cool stuff.
Very cool.
So,
Sounds
You
like
make
fun.
it sound so simple, but like, what's your background that you knew how to do that?
so I was a systems engineer for 4.5 years. So just that kind of stuff was already what I did. And I also
Okay.
did a lot of stuff just on the side where I kind of just played with stuff. So it didn't take a lot to just kind of figure out how to make it work.
What language do you speak in code? Is it like Python or C# or like Java?
All of those.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
So you're like
Ben's
You-
like the guy that if he doesn't know it, he'll go on YouTube or
in
just
Reddit. Are you on Reddit?
Unfortunately, yeah. It's
Yes,
worst,
you are.
It's the worst place in the world. I love it.
In like a half a day, he'll be able to do something,
That's crazy.
no matter what.
Yeah. There's so much information in the world right now that if you want to learn something, you
I
can
also have a project with zero budget. We'll be able to talk to you later about that.
just do it.
That's not zero budget, but anyway. And like, when did you come on board then?
Oh, it
Brad.
was last year and a half ago now.
Yeah, so you were last August or
Last-
June. No, it was last June.
Last June.
Because I come on in February, and the first time I was up was when the first time you came over.
Yep.
So that was
Yeah, it was cold
Yeah.
when I got to the shop, and we're in the other shop.
And
it
was it
was the
something
same thing.
similar? Like, hey, I need help designing these
Yeah, actually,
arrows.
Isaac put a post out. I need help fletching arrows because we just got blown up.
Yeah,
and they
that's
were,
when that
you know,
happened.
way behind. So then I went there, and it was like hour and a half drive. So I didn't really want to drive down there to fletch arrows. And then a couple months later, Isaac called me. He said, "You want to help design some components?" Because I told him I had an engineering degree,
Mhm.
and that I said sure. So nights and weekends, I spent a lot of time on the computer with Ben, designing our components and.
That's
upgrading.
wild.
Yeah.
The serendipity
Yeah.
of that, because they blew up because Isaac had just happened to send Zach Fehrenbaugh arrows. He happened to not have the arrows he needed. Those are just laying around his room. Grabbed them, killed a buck with it on film, of course.
Yep.
And then like that's when he got all these orders coming through, and he thought the site was broken or something, and it wasn't. And then it was like, oh shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And
We're
then-
buried.
Yeah.
The power of marketing.
oh yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't take a whole lot. We found out the hunting community is fairly small and tight knit.
Yeah.
That once it gets out there, it can really get out
Well, it helps
there.
that you
Awesome.
have what I would refer to as product led growth. Like your guys' product is high enough quality and work that it speaks for itself to some degree. And you've made it highly convenient for people to get it.
Yes,
Yeah.
the word of mouth is fantastic.
Yeah, that was a big thing. Is making it something that you can actually scale and get out, because ordering arrows waiting 6.5 weeks kind of sucks.
Hmm.
So being able to order them, show up in 2 weeks, and go shoot them and have a great time and a great experience was getting to that point was a lot of work.
What are some of the learnings you guys have had along the way, like course corrections and feedback and things like that? Because I imagine people that shoot these things, like this big guy over here, are pretty vocal about when something isn't going the way they want it to.
I mean, this arrow is 180 degrees different than the arrows that we sent out last year. There's not a single component on this arrow or the HMR aside from the carbon that was there last year.
So talk about that. Like how?
Oh, their insert's different.
Yep.
You know.
So no
they
more
went to a-
ethics, right? You
Yeah, no
guys are
more ethics.
in-house?
It's all one piece. We should get this off of here
I kind of like this.
It's broken.
before it gets broken.
Just, yeah, you can put it wherever
Yeah.
you want.
That's the biggest buck you ever held.
This is the biggest buck I ever
Almost.
killed. I'm sure you've held bigger bucks.
Not much bigger.
Let's put it down here. That's all right.
Not with a bow, at
Okay.
least.
So 180 degrees different than even a year ago,
Yep.
and certainly different than where it started from.
So new Nox. The Nox currently shipping our Boning F Nox. New wraps, new veins. Carbon stayed the same. The way we actually cut our carbon and spine our carbon did change. That algorithm was updated with some feedback we did get. The way the component changed, and also the field tips changed. We now send you field tips with your arrows.
Yep.
So we just saw a need. We saw feedback. Everything we got. I mean, any problem that shows up, we handle it personally. So that comes in. We have a pretty big
You
pool
own
of
the
issues.
whole process.
If it's a problem, we fix it.
If our
And that's ideal.
customers email in, we're customer service and engineer design team.
So you have the wherewithal and chops to go deep with the customers on certain topics. And
Exactly.
being involved in the product development, you're not just some like, yeah, I'm a customer service from India,
right.
taking a part call for no reason, and like that would
Exactly.
piss people off.
And we don't have a phone number on our website for a reason, and that's because none of us are, just sitting around doing nothing, waiting for the phone to ring.
Yeah.
So we're trying to, make our time as efficient. Keeping things rolling in the shop, as well as getting.
You'd have
questions
so many
answered.
calls too.
Oh, it's Yeah.
I bet.
There's like something to accommodating customer preferences. Maybe someday you get a phone number, but like some people prefer a call. A lot of folks, and like our younger generation, prefer asynchronous communication where they're typing
Right.
because they're on a different time schedule too.
Mhm.
And being on the phone is tricky.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes.
It is.
I'm the guy that wants to call and talk on the phone with people, but that takes
Me
a lot of
too.
resources to do it.
Yeah.
I
It takes a lot of time because that's what I do for my job. I'm a tech support person at a manufacturer for plumbing and heating products. I spend a lot of time on the phone and responding to emails and building product and all that other fun stuff.
You guys
It
wanna
eats a
hire,
lot
you
of
guys
your
wanna
day.
hire this guy?
I-
For the right
they-
amount of money, I
they-
think
they-
you could get
they
him.
don't- they don't wanna hire
I think
me.
he'd be a great ad. He really knows his shit.
Hey man, I know how to build arrows.
He
in my
knows customer
basement.
service. You know, I tell you what.
Yeah.
Well,
I came on when the whole business model, started. I think Isaac
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about that.
Mhm.
Get an arrow instead of buying a dozen of bare shafts and
Yep.
having to fletch them and do all the work yourself. You can just show them, buy them, show up at your door, ready to shoot.
That's the part
Yes.
that I've always been drawn to because I have a lot. You guys see my house; it's crazy down here. I have 3 kids. I'm doing all this stuff.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of opportunity for me to like, hey, honey, I know I do all these things all the time and I hunt, but can I also leave to go go to the archery shop?
Right.
She'd be like, no, I'm gonna go do something, So having that happen and having you like literally drive over the other day with broadheads was like life changing. I
Oh,
mean,
it
literally,
worked
kill
out.
this deer for me as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah, you were out of broadheads, huh?
Yeah, I didn't have any, so I was like,
Is
that
running
worked out
Fleet
really well.
Farm?
Yeah, I'm not gonna go there for anything.
Yeah.
I
their
don't know.
archery
I don't even
selection
know
is
what they
very-
put on the shelves there. It's got to be the most.
they just kind of drive around and
Generic
pick
shit.
up stuff, and it's like, oh, look, there's some of those and some of that, and
Yeah.
this grapefruit spoon is kind of flatten that out.
Pretty picked over too.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's always. It just always looks picked over. I don't really understand what they got going on over there.
Unsure as well.
I don't know.
It's really rough ever since the whole COVID thing. That store has really taken a nosedive for what they carry on the shelves.
Yeah, if we don't have it, you don't need it. That's entirely not true. I need most of the things you don't have these
Yeah,
days.
exactly.
Inventory is like, but they have some nice flannels, so I'll give them that.
Sure.
And they got the You Betcha stuff, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Charlie Burns up north.
Charlie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What?
What cut out in the center aisle?
Yep.
So on the engineering side, talk about the broadheads. Like those just hit the market this season, right?
They did.
Correct me if I'm wrong, please. Or did you guys do some sort of partnership with Iron Will to get those made up, or like how did those come to fruition?
Nope. So those were entirely separate. Those are just a product. So these are the 3 blades. That's the MD3, but the VBS is probably what you're referring to.
Mhm.
No, we sourced our own manufacturers and everything for that project. So we, from top to bottom, that was fully designed by us and the computer.
The
Yeah,
thing that you
lot of
were
hours.
you were thinking of is they offered the Snyder Core system from Iron Will.
Okay.
Yeah, so we did have the ZMR with the Iron Will components for a period of time, and that was just with the components there.
I'm sorry, Greg, not trying to point that your way. I hit my mute button, but I didn't consider that you're right in my line of fire. Okay. I'm glad that I have more awareness around that. And these are nice little cases too. I kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
I know the Iron Wills are expensive. These are more affordable.
Yes. So that was the main goal, was to make a premium head out of
Mhm.
premium materials with not the premium price.
Yeah, because to be totally honest, there's heads that cost our price point $64.99. I think, is that right?
Yep.
That are cost $64.99 that aren't worth that, and there's heads that cost $110 that aren't worth $110. And we'd rather
Sure.
you go buy this one that's $64.99 is a pretty good deal for $64.99. Whereas heads like an Iron Will, it's worth every penny. They got an incredible steel. Their tolerances are incredible. I mean, they fly great.
Yep.
And I've killed multiple animals with the same head without even sharpening it. Like, they're incredible, but not everyone can pay for that. And
Mhm.
there are heads that are in between those price points that are not worth that.
Or you shouldn't pay for it, but you do anyway because you just like them that much.
Well, I mean, I'd say
Exactly.
I'd say an Iron Will is
Yeah.
definitely worth it. 'cause
Yeah.
I've
When it
killed
comes in a
half a dozen
freaking
animals.
wooden
I've-
box,
I've killed a bunch too. With
looks
the
like you're
wide
about
cut,
to.
the single bevel, and the solid 125. I shot the solid or the vented 100s for a while.
Yeah.
I killed a lot of deer, multiple deer with them.
I love those wide venteds. That's probably one of my favorite
Yeah.
heads, and they're
That-
great. But if you can't afford them, that
Yeah.
middle option just didn't exist for really a bunch of good choices. I mean, I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with that price point, but it's pretty lacking.
It is lacking.
And
There's
the-
not much in there. You're getting a mechanical. I won't say it's a good mechanical, but maybe it is for about that price point, right?
Yeah.
You're finding some mechanicals in there.
Yeah,
that
there's
are
some mechanicals.
a
There's
little
some
beefier.
2-blade fixed that are not very good, that are just they're designed like old long two blade, which are just giant levers that bend and don't fly great.
Right.
With a small cut. Like they're just not really good options there. So we brought those into there. And then we also brought this 3-blade into there because there wasn't an option for that either. So kind of trying to find that middle price point for people that don't want to go to the premium options and people that want to shoot something more than a big box option, which like a Grim Reaper Micro Hades, a QAD Exodus, great options. But if you want a 2-blade with bleeders, you don't have a lot of good ones until you get up to that very premium price point. So getting something in there and it's bats well at its price range.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And we went off, familiar with Cody Greenwood, Trad Lab?
I'm not actually. Or Greg might be.
I'm not either, unfortunately.
That dude's awesome.
I'm
Well,
sure
we're
he
gonna have to
is.
check him out then. Yeah.
He's really good. He did a
Okay.
lot of, he's recurve, so a lot of kill data from recurve archers, and the swept blade style just seemed to stand out as far as blood on the ground and recovering your animal. So we wanted to emulate that on a broadhead that would be more conducive to fly good. So we kept it short, stubby, and then also penetrate well, which thin, sharp blades.
Yep, pretty hard
thin,
steel,
but they're fairly thick.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, and with the curve blade, you actually have more cutting surface there. If you were to take and straighten it out, it'd be almost the equivalent maybe of a wide cut head by the time it's all said and done. But it is tougher to sharpen.
Yeah, and that's kind of the trade-off is as you do have that curved angle, it acts differently. So as it slides down and gets to a steeper angle, it's going to put more forces on the tissues, and you're actually going to be able to get a little different shape hole. Like if you've seen the entrance hole with the big it's called a 4-blade, but it's essentially the large secondary blade with the either one of the main blades, because we only have those one option right now for size, but a square. So you get a little different hole size because it does kind of stretch the hide different because it does not cut as efficiently out towards that outside edge, but that was on purpose because it leaves a really big hole.
Oh, yeah, it does.
And one thing we were finding was we don't really see a lot of penetration issues for most people shooting fixed blade heads.
Nope.
And the ZMRs are designed in such a way that you guys initially came to market with this, chatter around heavy FOC or high FOC.
High FOC, heavy arrow. And they work. You're sacrificing something with everything you
they
do.
drop
There's
quick,
a sacrifice.
Yeah. They drop like a rock. So
I mean, if you want to, you can shoot your arrow then throw your bow because they're probably the same distance.
But so then, like with the ZMR, is it an evolution of the HMR?
So our HMR got a facelift too. The new components, they come in 34 and 54 grains. So, and we do cut our carbon shorter and we add additional spines. So all HMR and ZMR builds are going to be between 25 and 40 grains different, which is between like 8 and 12 foot per second for the average shooter. We got super long draws. It's more for us. You got a shorter draw than us. So
pretty long wingspan here.
Yeah, you are pretty long.
What's your draw length? Sorry.
I have no idea.
Well, ours are 32. So
I think
we're way out there.
Yeah.
But like
you're probably 30 or 30 and a half.
Yeah. So you're right up there, probably 35 grains different. But it
can make fun of Isaac a little bit.
We make fun of Isaac. Like he's like a 20 grain difference because the dude's got like a 27-inch draw.
Interesting.
Like the lollipop gills are representing strong.
The lollipop
Whoa, shots fired.
That's great. Yeah, I got these. My dad and I got these Sasquatch arms. His are longer than mine. It's like he's hanging like an ape, walking through the woods. But
exactly.
I'm hoping to get a new bow for next season. I don't think there's a big need other than mine's just tired.
Do you like limbs?
Older.
There's a big need. Trust
According
me.
to this guy, but it's a Bear Empire.
It's never been tuned up.
It's a single cam, super quiet.
There's bolts falling
I'd
out
find
of the
something
handle.
Honestly, you'll be happy you did.
But the weight it just can only go so much on I don't know, like a single cam. It's
How old's the string?
I don't know.
When's the last
I've
time
never
you replaced
replaced
it?
I got it when
Uh-huh.
I was still renting, and this is my second house.
Yeah.
Oh, that's impressive.
So, but I had
Hasn't blown it up yet.
Right.
But I'm getting nervous.
Yeah.
I had the
You're
peach
getting
sight
nervous?
rubber.
You already had it slap you in the face once.
Yeah.
But kind of back to your question though, ZMR and HMR, they're pretty much the same, just different carbons. Our overall philosophy did shift away from that high FOC heavy arrow thing because when we were prototyping ZMRs, everyone had like 430 grain arrows and was like blowing mule deer knuckles apart and cutting off side legs in half. And we were like, okay, well that doesn't really make sense. So we kind of looked at it and we're like, okay, if you're shooting a 680 grain arrow, you can like it all you want, but there's probably a better tool for the job. And that's where these guys come in. You have two pretty moderate weights. If you want a little more speed, grab the ZMR. You want a little less speed, grab the HMR, and then let personal preference take over from there.
Interesting. and these are killing arrows. You're not making range arrows or 3D.
I mean, I shoot
Target
3D with
courses.
mine.
Yeah, same, because it's what I have.
Yeah.
And it worked out well. I've done okay on the 3D course. We held our first event last year or this year in August, Foam Fest, and I didn't lose a single arrow, which is like a
That's good.
first for me
Yeah.
to not lose one.
Yeah, you and I both kept foam arrows and foam, and the rest of the guys.
Yeah, you and I were neck and neck.
Yeah, we were doing good.
We're pretty equally matched, Greg and I, at this point. I'm less confident in my shot skills, but I surprise myself every time. So I'm like, wow, I didn't lose it. All right, I hit the target. Oh wow, I
Yep.
killed the buck. I can't believe it.
Exactly.
So it's just my story.
Yep.
Everyone else is like,
We
no,
Yeah, we don't have our arrows in hands of that many tournament shooters. Like Ben's girlfriend Emily, she shoots target.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Okay.
So we're
Probably
trying
better
to
shot
get
than all of
more
us.
and more input from the target archers, because we know they got to put the arrow in the same spot every time.
Yeah.
So if we can ship them a dozen arrows and then translate, that are perfect out of the box, that translate to hunting and putting animals on the ground, especially. Yep.
Because the biggest thing comes down to hitting what you're aiming at. And if you build something that's built around how can we put that same arrow in the same hole every single time, then that's going to, regardless of your skill, it's going to perform better than something that physically cannot be that repeatable.
What's
So-
like I don't know, a maximum like comfortable, confident range for shooting these things, knowing that they do drop. Like,
I mean, I've shot these out to 140 yards. So, I haven't shot an animal at 140 yards.
I was gonna say I wouldn't think
Killing
so. But
foam at 140 yards with it.
yeah, that's like the bonus
Right.
shot on the course, right?
I went out west very comfortable shooting 80 yards.
Yeah.
And that's what I killed my bull at was 80.
Really,
Yeah.
80 yards.
I killed a mule deer at
Yeah.
73 this year.
Cool.
That's a different hunt though out west, right?
Oh, it sure is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
But
probably-
I definitely felt, prepared. I had the ZMR and it was right at 500 grains.
and it's
with
still got
the-
enough behind it at that range to do damage, huh?
full pass
speed-wise.
through with
Jeez.
1.5 expandable.
Wow.
Not
Yeah,
even our broadhead.
Yeah, I pushed a 2-inch mechanical through my mule deer this year at that range and had no problems.
It's impressive.
Yeah, the amount of energy
Right.
you're pushing out of a compound bow is just insane. For you not to pass through, you have to miss, which hitting the animal in a bad spot is missing,
Mhm.
or you have to have something out of tune that causes the energy to get wasted on impact,
Okay.
or something to break. Any of those things happens, it's not going to end well. But really, from a compound perspective, we are pushing so much energy that the penetration is not going to be so much a function of range, so much a function of arrow mass. It's going to be more shot placement, the design of the broadhead. Like my 2-inch expandable versus MD3s, those are way more efficient heads. But a mule deer is kind of squishy. So it's just that math problem is kind of how you can look at it. And a lot of people look at it from a math standpoint, which isn't necessarily, there's a lot you're missing in that. It's not very wholesome. So
Interesting.
as your range can probably be more effectively, especially for someone like you shooting a 30-inch draw. Excuse me. How well you can group at, 70, 80, 90, 100 yards is probably going to be more indicative than the actual energy in the arrow.
That makes good. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
logical.
So if you
right.
can
Mhm.
if you can hold a paper plate at 120 yards and a softball at 100 yards, which I can't do that, then go shoot something at 100 yards if you want to. But it's going to be more how well you can hit your target and hit what you're aiming at.
Mhm.
Shot placement is key.
What was your
We can always
longest
say that.
range shot that you've ever?
At a deer,
Yep, you've shot a lot of does.
32 probably, and I whiffed on one at probably 40 this year, shooting from the ground. There's other factors involved there.
Elk is a little different than a white
Oh,
tail.
way different, especially when it's an alert doe at 40 yards.
They'll be
Bad.
here and gone
Yeah, bad idea.
before.
They're quick.
Oh yeah,
Like they're quick.
Someone says hi.
Oh,
the boss man's watching.
There it
Tony
is.
Cordero, listener of the show, he called in last week. He said, "Please don't crucify me, but are there any plans for crossbow bolts?"
Oh, I'm pushing hard. But
can I
some
make a
of these
joke about
guys-
rifle bullets?
I
So
really want
there's
to make.
there's desire.
There's desire, and honestly, I know where Tony's going with this. I mean, not only he may hunt with a crossbow, he may not, but Tony's part of a mentoring program where we take first time. I'm getting in the process of helping them with it,
That's cool.
but crossbows are probably a more of a comfortable thing for a first time hunter to go out with.
Yeah.
You know,
And I mean, there's a lot of room for improvement on crossbow bolts. This isn't something either one of us have put a ton of time and energy into looking into.
sure.
But on a high level thing, it's moving very fast. A lot of times, anytime you're going really fast, stuff doesn't tune all that great.
No.
So there's a lot there. And then most times they're not stiff enough to where that's a lot of force being pumped down an arrow or a bolt or a bullet, if you want to be mean. You need a stiffer carbon and you need to build it a little bit differently. And a lot of the big box bolts, I mean, my girlfriend cut her hand open on Iron Will Wide and pulled it through her hand and had to shoot a crossbow for an elk hunt for the first half till it got
So I'm
stitched
not
up.
the only one.
No.
Yeah,
How
I mean,
deep did it get her? Jeez.
she pulled it all the way through her hand and sliced it wide open. Those things are scary sharp. They're
Yep.
awesome.
On the backside and the front side.
Yeah. She actually killed a doe. She shot a buck and a doe with that same head later that season. So that was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely a lot of improvement there, but I don't think we have anything on the table for it right now.
Okay.
No.
What is
I'll
on
keep
the
pushing for it though.
horizon? Is there anything? Is there anything on the horizon?
You
that
guys
you're
will sell
able-
them. I guarantee it, because there's plenty of people out there that their comfortability is with a crossbow because they're just not confident in a vertical bow.
Right. Yep.
Yep.
Like my dad shoots crossbow too. Just-
Yeah, or he's got
he used to
or
shoot
people have an
vertical.
injury, but they
Yep.
still want to keep going. I have an uncle at 72 years old. He can't pull his compound back, so he went to a crossbow.
Right. Exactly. Innovation. I have an orange feathers in my hand.
Okay.
Adding colors is on the table.
That's happening Friday, I think.
Sweet.
And these are
Nice.
different shape than the ones I have up there.
Yeah.
What's the deal with the shape?
So do you want to get this one? Or you want me to get this one?
You can roll with it.
Okay. Thanks, Brad. So we moved to AE vanes in August. We had a lot better time running these through automated fletching machines, and they just seem to play a lot better. And Nick over at AE has been a great partner. So these are the hybrid 23s. These are our all-around mechanical and field point vanes. I'm
Yep.
playing some mechanicals right now, and also my bow's out of tune. I can't get anything at clearance on a rest, so don't do that. Fix your bow. But I'm shooting these. We have the next size up, which is the hybrid 26s.
What'd you say we got here? Greg drop tuned his bow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to do that every
just-
6
Boom,
years.
drop tuned it.
Yep.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I got a bow with
Hilarious.
I've took 3 sets of limbs to get this thing put together because I had limbs from dropping stuff so much. Like last year, Isaac dropped my bow out of a tree and cracked a limb.
Ouch.
It's coming out of your paycheck, guys.
So we have those 3 vane options, the 26s and a 4 fletch, what we like for pretty much any fixed. And then we have the high profile 3 fletch, which is kind of your moderate fixed size vane. And that's what most people seem to like. But we really try to put people towards that 4 fletch because you do get a little added forgiveness out of it. It'll kind of cover up any shooter form issues or any tune issues.
Have you guys heard of any of the studies they do out of ground blinds? I don't know who quite does it.
Greg
So-
did a lot of hitting his limb on the ground blind this season.
Sure.
Mhm.
How'd that go?
Not well.
Oh,
I
man.
mean, two missed deer, so that's part of it.
There are sitting on a feeder or something. They'll
Mhm.
shoot their bow backwards, and the animals don't do anything. As soon as an arrow is coming at them, they'll be ducked and out of the way that quick. So we're trying to get a little quieter vein, and
Yep.
the parabolic helps that.
Yep, that shield cut adds a lot of drag and a lot of noise.
Mhm.
It helps steer the arrow.
I have a shot with that one on my GoPro. No, the audio on GoPros are pretty good, and you
Yeah.
can hear that arrow flying.
Oh
through
yeah,
the air.
they're loud. And you put a vented head. I mean, our vented head, it screams at you, but it flies great. It's a trade. You got to go there too. But those two together, it just makes for a really loud setup. So go into a little quieter vein. If you do shoot
Yep.
a solid head, helps out.
Yeah.
But a lot of times that broad head does add to it too.
The V100s hissed pretty good too when I shot them, and it didn't matter. It was still accurate as can be, and I think that adds to it.
I've actually personally, I think I shoot vented heads a little bit better.
Yep.
They're a little more forgiving, a little less surface area to plane, and I just kind of deal with the noise because I'd rather hit what I'm aiming at. So.
Yep.
it's
Within
personal.
30 yards, they're not hearing it that fast.
No, they can't quite duck and get out of the
No,
way. You can change your shot placement a little bit, but as long as you're within.
The longest shot I took was, I think it was 35 at that doe last year, and I hit her. I don't know how I didn't find her dead. I think I hit her high, and she didn't, like there's too much blood in the cavity. Never got to leak out of the boat. It was a full passer, so I don't really understand.
That high
Yeah.
lung's a hard shot to make. It's
I was shooting from the
dedicated.
ground, so it was interesting. But it was 35 yards, and it seemed and sounded and felt, everything felt great. I thought it was a dead deer, and it wasn't. At least not that I could recover, unfortunately. But
I had the
Um,
same thing happen 2 weeks ago. Yeah, hit a doe just a little bit high,
mhm.
and I went down and waited 45 minutes and was gonna go drag her out and sit, and then I just kept following blood, and then
just dried up.
dried up.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Super weird.
It's and a lot of that. I mean, the goal, and we have data kills. We're trying to get more data.
Yeah.
on-
Is that something you guys want to talk about?
Oh, absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
I entered all my information into datakills.com
Heck yeah.
for the buck.
Go to datakills.com. You enter your email address, just so we know that you're not some random person entering data.
Sure.
And then,
Which you're probably going to get.
We're probably going to get that anyway.
Yeah.
But then you enter, shot distance. It'll ask you a whole series of questions.
125 yards.
Right. We'll try and weed out the outliers.
Yeah. You got to have another app called datacleansing.com.
Yeah. Yep. So then,
AKA the bullshit alert.
exactly.
That's just most of my stories.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going
Trying
to talk about your story in a minute here. So, okay, so what are you guys doing with all that information then?
We're trying to roll that into, is our arrow doing exactly what we made it for, which is putting arrows on the ground, animals on the ground. Did I say
I mean, arrows end up on the ground too.
arrows on the ground, pass-throughs,
Mhm.
Rolling that into new products, new developments, trying to get as much data as we can, because archery and putting animals on the ground is all, it's been hearsay. There hasn't been a lot of hard data to show, if you shoot a 2-blade fixed versus a 2-blade expandable, what difference do you get in how far the animal goes, what the blood trail looks like, which all lead into ultimate recovery.
Okay.
Yeah. We're essentially going to be able to look at somebody and say, hey, look, 500 people just like you do this exact thing and have good results. 200 people just like you do this exact thing and have okay results. And the other 200 do this and have horrible results.
Is that something you think you will put on the website in correspondence or correlation to like buying those broadheads or whatever? Like, hey, Data Kills backs this up. This many confirmed kills. Like, would that be a component of it?
It's not
like,
so much like confirmed kills with a head. It's like, hey, look, we see that the more cutting you do on an animal, the better your blood trail ends up being. And if you have a pass through with a really big hole, your blood trail is better. You find your animal faster.
Mhm.
So we might take that and say, hey, look, this head's got 3 blades. That's probably going to give you a little bit better blood trail. And it's going to probably give you a pass because it's a fixed. It's going to work well for this segment of people. We're just trying to get to where the recommendations that we're giving are actually, 1, accurate, and 2, can be backed up by data.
Yeah.
Because a lot of recommendations people get right now, it's
so subjective.
It's incredible.
Well, this is what I shoot, and it's killed deer, which is fine. That's great. But again, that's one person. That's one outlook, one viewpoint, one bow. Like, that's not all of the components and factorizations that go into it. So I think it's pretty cool. Like, it'll be fun to see that. I'm wondering, are you guys going to visually represent that in any way, shape, or form?
Yep. So we're going to have all that data analyzed independently after the fact, because we also don't want anyone to think that just because we're involved that we're trying to make just
fixed results are fixed.
We're just trying to make our stuff look good, because that's not
arrow
the case.
fraud.
Right.
It's a big issue. But we're going to have graphs and charts and all that stuff come out. And we're also going to have our questions that we wanted to ask of the data that when we put this thing out back in September answered, and say, hey, look, we thought this would happen, and this is actually what happened. Because one of the things that we thought would happen is, hey, look, if you hit an animal in a good spot, they normally die really fast.
Yep.
Which, what we're actually finding is, if you hit an animal in a good spot and you don't find it, you probably didn't actually hit it where you thought you would. So there's things like that where even where you have an animal that's really hard to find, and you find I didn't think I hit that thing where I thought I did.
Right.
So there's stuff like that we're hoping to answer.
Which one are you, Greg? Number 4. I'm gonna mute you while you're doing stuff. Yeah. A lot of feedback stuff happening there.
One very interesting thing, I actually talked to a dog tracker here in Wisconsin, central Wisconsin.
Yeah, those are great people, man. The dog community with the trackers, it's really impressive what their dogs can do.
Yes.
Anyway, go on.
He said he was on 70 tracks this year, and of those 70, 4 of them were exactly where the person told them they hit the deer.
Interesting. So they have good recall. They knew what they were doing. My dad couldn't tell you where he hit a deer.
Only 4.
Sorry, Dad.
Only
Only
4.
4 of the 70.
Oh,
4
yeah,
of the 70.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, because my dad. So I got this deer on Saturday morning, 7-ish a.m.
Yep.
And I knew exactly where I hit it, and it felt low, and I had concern, and blah 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 blah.
Yep.
My dad Sunday morning kills a deer. First, he missed one completely, undershot. Got the arrow, got back in the tree. I don't know, it was 30 minutes, an hour later. Boom, shoots a caliber like that, just very different rack.
Sure.
And he's like, I don't know where I hit it. I have no idea. No idea at all. He's like, no, I have no clue where I hit it. I don't know what happens. He's like, this happens to me all the time. He's like, I'm not sure where it hit. He goes, he's like, I don't think I recall ever knowing the arrow hit the deer. He's like, I shoot and then they're running off. And then he's like, and then he sees the deer on the ground or whatever. He's recovered a lot of deer. He's killed plenty.
Yeah.
But that's interesting.
Yeah.
That some people, it might just be a different version of like person that has the ability to, it's similar to like baseball almost. Maybe not. I forget which damn book it was. It's probably something by Malcolm Gladwell a long time ago where he talks about, a baseball player will know when to swing at they're not actually seeing the ball come to them because your eye can't interpret a ball that speed. They're making a judgment when that ball comes out of the pitcher's hand to take a swing.
Right.
Because they have to swing at that moment well before the ball ever gets to them.
That's why I never hit the baseball.
So I feel like there's some sort of correlation there.
So
right.
Why do I ever hit a golf ball?
That's because you're looking up.
Oh, that dude too. Look at the pitcher.
You got to look at the ball the whole time. Yeah, there you go.
He's looking for the pitcher.
You're probably looking to see where the hell that deer ran off to, and you're missing that split second to see where the arrow
He's
hit.
watching for the beer girl.
Yeah.
the beer cart, or what is that called?
Yeah, the dog tracker. He said that he thinks people are so focused on where they're aiming that that's where they think the arrow goes.
Yep.
And that's not exactly where the arrow goes.
I had this isn't. I don't know if I talked about this before, but I still feel like I failed with this deer, which is why I didn't believe it was dead because of 3D shooting. I was like, the arrow should have hit here, but it hit a little bit low. And I'm talking like 4 inches low, maybe 4 inches low.
Sure.
And then in my brain, I was like, no, I hit low. But you forget that that's a dead freaking deer.
Oh yeah.
Inside of like that softball or that paper plate.
Oh yeah.
And I was just stunned. I thought I blew it. And so when we saw that deer laying there, you saw it. And then I eventually saw it. I was like, I now understand this feeling at a level that I was like, I couldn't believe it was there. I'm like, what do you mean people like come up on their deer like, oh, shocker. Right. Of course it's there, but there's so much doubt in my mind because of the shot placement, because of 3D archery, actually.
Sure.
And just knowing, like, I told the arrow to go here and it went a little bit low and I didn't expect that. And then I had concern. But I've heard of, I think Derek said that Bo's dad, Bo Bilo, who he was on that property and he killed that 170. He said that he had shot a deer right where he intended to hit it and it didn't die.
Yeah, he hit it because of the
happened.
angle. Just the angle. It tucked in front of the heart and exited out in front of the other opposite front shoulder. It's just from one side it looks perfect, but if you don't really have the time to assess the angle you're taking, it may look perfect. Yep, it's right behind the shoulder, but you're not really taking into account what's on the opposite side of that. And if it's too far forward, you're in front of the front leg, it's not going to happen.
So to that
entrance point is fine.
Yep.
What's in the middle and through is not.
So it goes to show that a little bit of serendipity and luck could go a really long way.
Exactly.
Which is what happened with that one. I totally fucked the shot.
Yeah, you did.
And I hit far
You
back.
got lucky.
And I got all of the luck because I nailed the femoral artery, and he died in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, when I went to
Perfect.
It was a murder scene.
Yeah.
when I went to pull the inner loins out for him, I looked in there and like he had sliced the front of one of the inner loins off. I'm like, well, you got 3 pieces in here now instead of 2.
Yeah.
I said, but there's the femoral artery was as big around as my pinky. It was just completely razored through.
Just severed with the QED.
And
but
it bled everywhere.
Yeah, that was before I learned I should say the word meh right before I shoot. So he took a couple steps. He was still moving. I didn't even and I gangstered the shot, which everyone is. I had to like cock my bow like a gangster to avoid my bow limb hitting a tree limb. Break yourself! I just let it rip.
There's a lot of accumulating factors there.
Yeah, looking back, probably shouldn't have taken the shot.
No, I should have taken the shot. I just should have stopped him.
Here he is.
But there he is.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, my level is not level. It was like the bubble was all the way up to the left.
Yeah. And that would be one of those entries in data kills that we might just
throw out.
Toss this.
Yeah, this is an outlier. We're gonna put this over here.
That shouldn't be a dead deer.
Right.
Yeah. And the moment it hit, I was like, no. And then he died. I was like so confused. I was like, what? Is he dead? What?
That was the funniest phone call I got at 4:30. I just got done with work. Dude, I think I just killed one. You think or you did? No, I'm pretty sure it fell over. But I'm so confused right now. I don't know what happened. Call me back. Get down and call me back.
I'm going to start our call-in line. I forgot to do it. And so there's going to be some weird audio feedback for a second. Some.
Yeah. These are all coolers.
Wow, it really just doesn't stop talking for a minute. But if you have arrow build questions, questions about arrows of any sorts, these are the guys that we're going to make you talk to, whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
Joe Shalasky tried calling in from Indiana.
Call line is open. Phone lines are hot. Phone number is on the screen. If you're listening on TikTok here, it's 262-757-4122. We do have a caller being screened right now, and I believe it is Mr. Shalatsky. So I believe it said it was Joe. Hey, Joe, you're live on the OK Center podcast. Welcome to the show. What do you got for us? Oh, let me try that again. Sorry about that. Now you're live on the show. Welcome, Joe. What do you got for us? Oh, thanks. Yeah. Appreciate it. Holy crap.
Holy
Are you
crap.
sure it wasn't a moose masquerading as a buck?
No.
That's a beast. Wow. Nice.
Congratulations. You're going to be eating good for a while.
It's 32.
Right. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. He can wear my pants.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Congratulations. And thanks for the message. Go Wild. We try to get in there a couple times a week. So manage 2 different accounts. Yeah, that's me living up to my title, the OKS Hunter podcast. Sometimes we forget stuff, and I John Stuff, was it John? Oh no, it was you, Joe. Just thanks for messaging because I saw that come through, so I appreciate it. But yeah, did you have any questions? We're talking about arrow builds, and we got Vector here. Do you got any questions about arrows or anything?
Yeah. So, all right, cool. So, yes, we don't build specifically for the bow, as in the make and model. Most of that information is mostly used for tracking on our side because we do see some issues happen more frequently with certain bows, so we can kind of head off issues of the past when we see that come through. But as far as your draw length, draw weight, that's going to determine what your arrow spine and carbon length are going to be. And then your desired point weight in combination with our available component sizing is going to be what lets you kind of get that arrow fine-tuned to fit you to where it's going to be sufficiently stiff so it'll tune out of a tuned bow. So it's going to be fit to the specs that your bow is set to.
Yes, if you plug those specs in right on their website,
Yep.
right?
On either the HMR or the ZMR, and then it'll add it to your cart, and it'll show you exactly what your arrow build is going to look like, how long the carbon is going to be, what component, and what vein selection you pick, and then place the order button, and it'll show up right at your door.
And Joe, what bear bow are you shooting? Oh, wow.
Oh, that's cool.
Sweet.
That's pretty cool. Bear gave us 2 bows to give away at our Foam Fest event, and they were it's called the Bear Legit.
I've worked on a couple of those.
And out of the box, so one of my buddies won one, and it wasn't rigged. we drew 2 winners. One winner was like just by draw, like pulling a card out of a pitcher or whatever.
Sure.
And then the other one was to the guy that shot worst on the course. And I was like, look, I'm real sorry to say that you've won a bow, but it was for the person that shot worst. It was my buddy.
It was your buddy.
It was.
But I was like, that probably means you need a new bow. And
Right.
He was pretty ecstatic to get it.
but he shot it out of the box. He didn't lose a single arrow on the course.
Yep.
Oh, we shot it right then and there.
We took it, and because you can adjust the mods on it without taking it apart or putting it in a press. That's the whole deal with that bow, is you don't need any major tools to mess with it. So I'm over there changing the mods and moving things around to try and get it. Now we need to move this a little more because it's still, you could still put it behind his head and pull it back
Oh, sure.
and come to full draw.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Stoked.
So I'm not familiar with the model, but I know most of the time when you get that longer axle to axle, so it's probably a 33-inch bow. What's your draw length coming out to? Do you know? Okay, so you're right in the sweet spot for that length of bow. It's going to feel really stable because when you do get that longer riser, especially at your draw length, it's going to be a real stable platform. So I think you'd be pretty happy with that. It'll probably be pretty tune friendly.
Cool.
The next shit, that's fast. Make sure you use code OHP. Get yourself a little bit of a discount there. So it helps a little bit. And thanks for calling in, and thanks for the message on Go Wild, and congrats on the heaviest buck ever.
It's a
That must have been
giant-
did you have to drag it off the public land, or were you on private and did you get to pull a 4-wheeler, or like what'd you do?
Nice.
Yeah, I would say so. I'm shooting the house, the dad bod buck.
So this buck is smaller than the
Smaller rack
size.
smaller
bigger
rack
body.
size, but not as big of a
Did it
bod.
happen to moo as well?
It might
Did it move?
It might have.
That's a cow.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, we joke and call them horns
Exactly.
just to piss people off. But yeah, we know they're antlers, okay? But yeah. The number of people that do call them horns, it's funny. Because
I'll,
I think
like,
everyone
catch
knows they're not
myself.
horns. It's just funny to say. Like, actually, someone grabbed this rack and like, look at the horns on this.
Yep.
And I was like, and they're a deer hunter. They know deer. Like,
Right.
so it's just like this. It's like this kind of like inside baseball joke of deer hunting. And then
Right.
every now and again, you get someone that gets really pissed off when you call them horns.
Your antlers.
Yeah. Thanks, Captain Obvious. We know.
Right.
Yeah. Appreciate the correction. No, thanks for the call, man. Good to hear from you.
Thank you. You bet.
If anyone else has questions here for these guys, well, we got them. I mean, we're talking to product development on the calculator side and a data engineer, savant, and an engineer of product. The two of you teamed up together. It's been really fun hearing how you guys have innovated on product development. So please, the call, like the phone lines are hot. And Tony said I didn't fix the audio issue. Thanks for the feedback. I don't know why, but we can hear it and it'll come through on podcast land. So, there's always going to be some sort of weird technical issue on the live broadcast, apparently, that I can just never avoid. As long as you can hear us, I think the positive. As long as we
Maybe
can
you
hear
got
the
to get
caller.
him involved here. You can fix that for you.
Yeah, it's a very tangled system. I actually wrote a blog post about almost everything that goes into this just to document it because it's a technical daisy chain of shit.
Sure.
And I also want my wife to know how involved this is. So when I say I need to go down early to get stuff set up, she's like, why do you have to go down so early? I'm like, if you only understood and knew the
Sure.
things that went into like getting a live listener call in,
As soon as you start
streaming
to
3
explain the
cameras to
technical
an
stuff,
iPad to a computer
she starts
to
to
a TV.
glaze over
Right.
and fall asleep.
Yeah. It's
Got
a
one of
lot.
those selfie rings over there.
Yeah, I mean that's
Like it.
TikTok rolling. I mean, we got it all. We got it all figured out over here.
Uh-huh.
But it's an evolution. Every couple of months it changes because I add something new. We're gonna change these cameras out. I don't like them.
I spent a year in college installing conference rooms for a business.
Oh, you would know.
It sucks.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's just always a problem. I'm gonna get the I forget what it's called right now, but Black Magic makes it. It's a camera changing device, but the problem is I'll have these are wireless, so this keeps the space okay, right? It's kind of
Okay.
messy.
Yeah.
But if I throw up actual cameras on the wall, 3, 4 of them, whatever it is, and I'm gonna have HDMI cords flowing into this desk like crazy. So I'm gonna have to deal with that. So I'm gonna have to run them up in the wall, back behind the wall, and then over. And I don't know if I'm gonna have a latency issue that'll be the same as the Wi-Fi issue because these are all wirelessly casting to this iPad.
Oh,
So that's what I'm trying to solve for. I actually love this setup. I just don't like that the lips are always off.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a delay to this streaming service regardless, but at least my raw would be on
Mhm.
and then I could repurpose content better.
That's because you got those little bird lips.
Little bird lips. I use that quote at deer camp. Did you guys go to gun hunting?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How'd it go?
Oh, good. 5 deer, 3 ducks, and a turkey.
Nice.
Holy shit.
Successful weekend.
That sounds like a turducken almost.
almost. He had a turbucken.
A turbucken. There we
Yeah.
go. That's
Yeah.
pretty good, right?
That's good stuff.
It
Nice.
was good. I shot a little spike buck.
Okay, good.
I was
Yeah, we promote
it.
that.
in a heated tent, so that was nice.
Perfect. Yeah, it was a
Moved
really
in-
cold day on
yeah.
Saturday.
Right, Saturday morning.
Sunday morning.
I
was
braved
rough.
it for a couple hours, and then my dad was in the tent, so I moved in with him.
Yeah.
And then Buck came strolling by, and then he couldn't quite get around to him, so he just handed me the gun.
Nice. You do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So did you use your tag or his?
I used mine.
All right, good.
Nice.
And let's talk about your concussion here. What's going on?
Oh, so I actually was going rifle elk hunting, and I got one on the way out. Actually, well, almost got one.
Never even had to fire a shot.
Nope, about 4 in the morning.
How heavy was the FOC on that truck?
Yeah.
I mean, it was about 150. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
50.
Yeah, coming around a corner, just run right into a cow, and that's on the way about an hour from where I was actually going to be hunting. And
Ouch.
Yeah, I woke up whatever morning.
Was that the picture of the smashed truck that I saw?
yeah,
Yeah.
that was me.
Or was
Oh,
that Cam's
yeah.
truck?
Oh no, that was Cam's truck. And
So you both hit?
Same day.
yeah, we
No,
were.
no. Cam hit a guardrail.
Because I saw it on Cam's profile, but then I was like, wait a second. So is it his? And then
No.
no. Okay. So it's two different.
Yeah,
F-150 Toyota Tacoma.
Yep. That's right.
yeah. I actually didn't
Right.
get out too bad in it, but like
Oh,
a day or
yeah.
so later, I started
Not too
having
bad.
post. I can't talk either.
Yeah. Words are hard,
I
especially
thought
when you're concussed.
I thought it would take longer for that to come out, but it seems when I talk about arrows, I can keep that straight. But anything else, it's a shit show. So it took about a day and a half to started realizing why I was just being so stupid. And it turns out I probably hit my head during that. So
Yeah.
Ouch.
girlfriend,
Which you wouldn't really know either.
No, I actually don't remember anything. I remember seeing the animal, and I remember getting up pissed off because I had to take a picture of my truck for insurance. And I was going to be late to my spot. So
And you still went to your spot.
yeah, no, I still went there and glassed in negative 16 degrees, found a couple bulls, and tried to get in on one. Didn't work out.
Mhm.
And then camped out, got up the next morning, glassed again, and found another herd of elk, and then just kept falling asleep and couldn't get in on them. So,
Man.
but they were there.
So what day was that then?
That was
You were
4:00 on Friday in the
Did-
morning.
Today is Tuesday.
Yeah.
So when did you start heading this way?
So I drove into Bozeman Saturday night. We left Sunday morning. So stopped in South Dakota that night, and then got here yesterday.
And you're originally from, so you're still working way back to Kentucky, right?
Yep.
And
So-
are you like doing it like the Wallflower song with one headlight, or what are you doing with that?
No, the
thing?
headlights are actually fine.
Oh, you're good. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who remembers that song?
Nope.
Am I
I
old?
remember that song.
Okay.
But I did get to lay in a Motel 8 parking lot with fishing line tying pieces of my truck back together so it wouldn't scrape on my tires.
Very nice.
Oh yeah.
I actually
Yeah.
built
You engineers, I tell you.
I have a soft topper, and it got so cold that I tried to roll it up, it cracked open.
Ooh.
So like, I had to go to Lowe's and get foam board panels, and I built like a foam board backer plate for my soft topper.
How do you like this? Which one is it?
It's a best top.
Do you like it?
No.
Because it broke.
Well, I didn't like it anyway because it wasn't waterproof.
Oh,
Oh,
what?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was camping under it
What's
once,
the
and the
point of
snow
that,
started
then?
melting, and I started like water dripping on
Dripping
it.
on you.
It was like not
That's
fun.
a problem.
No.
Yeah. Did they put that in like their marketing literature?
No, like if you look at it, like their warranty kind of sucks. So it's like that does not cover literally if you put it on your truck and take it off. If you put it on a different truck, sell your truck and get a new one, it still fits. If it caused cracking as a result of heat, exposure, or cold, which like
To which all it will be exposed
yes,
to.
so like
Right.
the elements are not covered under their warranty. So their lifetime warranty is like
They can
It's
get out
about
of
as
it no
good as
matter
the
what.
paper that it's printed on.
if you sneeze and it just explodes in flames, we might help you out and like give you a T-shirt.
God, I just picture Tommy Boy trying to display that whole scene with the car crashing and burning on the desk.
But no, I mean,
Give you a good look at a butcher's ass. Wait, what? That can't be right.
yeah. So, but no, I mean, it was horrible. I didn't even find the elk. I was kind of pissed about that.
You could at least came home with some
That'd
meat
have
from
been
your
good
trip,
camping
right?
meat.
I mean, yeah, like if you hit an elk and you hurt your head, get a concussion, and you gotta get your truck looked at by insurance and all that fun stuff. If I hit an elk, I'm not upset. Like that's what I came out to do.
Yeah.
Like it's a win. Like I just get 2 tags now, and if I don't feel the other one, it's like, oh, whatever.
I had this debacle coming home from a bow hunt. I was on the phone with my wife, and then I interrupted her very abruptly to tell her, buck in the road, huge buck. And I just kind of sat there, like, should I hit it with my truck? And she's like, what? What? She was so nice. She's like, whatever. And I was like,
What do I do?
I was still in like hunt mode. I was like, I think I'm going to hit this thing, like really, truthfully, with my F-150. And
I mean, it probably did the
didn't,
job.
though, because I was like, that's probably the wrong
Like,
choice to make right now.
We talked about earlier, shot placement is key. Like I hit this elk with a glancing blow. It caught the front headlight. If I'd hit this thing square on going full
You
speed,
got it.
oh man, I'd have had her.
Yeah.
So
You didn't hit her in the middle.
I know that's the issue.
No,
Shot
so
placement.
she's-
She
Yep.
saw that F-150 and said, "Up, tuck and roll."
Tuck and roll, Grandma. Get out of this
Yeah.
car.
And that elk also lost the Mother of the Year award because it left her calf stuck in a fence.
Yeah, they're pretty shitty moms.
Yeah, I know.
Survival of the fittest.
Yeah. Can't
I
out
fit
that
over the
I
fence, you
deserve-
don't.
Yeah, you're not my kid if you can't get over that fence. Just die there in the cold. Oh man. What other parting thoughts do you guys have for us from Vector? What else?
Yeah.
What's Isaac gonna say? I
anything-
can't believe you guys didn't talk about that, or is he gonna say I can't believe you did talk about that?
What did we
Any-
talk about?
I don't know. Anything new or exciting coming up?
We got colors coming,
Mm-hmm.
so we're gonna have some
Got that.
colors. I don't
Yeah.
know. I know we got white, orange, like a chartreuse, and maybe a neon green. I don't know.
Yeah, you're
not
talking about
gonna
the
add into
chartreuse.
that 'cause I-
Mhm.
Yeah, but those are coming soon. We're adding a left helical for people that want to shoot a left bevel broadhead.
What's that?
Exactly. Enough people asked. So
That'd be for people like Derek who are left-handed, or people like
Well, what's
Levi,
the difference?
Okay.
or people like Levi that
Yeah.
like are right-handed, but yet find it necessary to shoot left bevel stuff and left helical things.
yeah, so
Is it
don't know.
spin different?
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's just gonna spin it the other way. Like there's really no difference. It's entirely personal preference.
That's why we haven't had it.
Because there's really no
Before.
reason. A lot of people will clock bear shafts, but just don't waste your time with that. It's not worth it. You can't shoot the difference. Or Hooter shooter can't shoot the difference. But it's just personal preference. Like previously, a lot of companies didn't make great left bevel broadheads. Like they either wouldn't make them, period, or they'd make them out of a different steel because there was lower demand. They couldn't get the tooling for it.
Yeah, it's a different thread direction, right?
Yep.
Or something.
No, the threads are the
Threads are
same,
the
but
same.
you just
Okay.
grind the other side. So like a couple companies would have like when they
Huh.
brought their models to an upgraded steel, they wouldn't bring the left bevels because they just had a ton of them laying around. I guess I don't know, but it looks like there's kind of becoming more common in the market. So we kind of figured we'd offer that. And
2 questions for you guys. What like lighted nocks do you recommend to fit the smaller shaft diameter?
really none, honestly. There's not a lot of good micros out
We have
there.
a lot of people asking us about that.
Yeah. I
I installed the nocturnals because they were somewhat available.
Right.
They until they affect some things. Not so much speed. I'm not worried about that, but just the way they fit on the string, and the way the string is supposed to actually on release go in and actually hit the button.
Yep.
In the way it bites onto the string and how it could maybe affect the release of it.
So
Right. That's what.
yeah,
Yeah. For all those reasons, it's
Mhm.
hard, to recommend a really good one. But we always say the size G, which is a 166.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
what our shafts are. 166 ID. Nocturnal makes one. I think Cabela's brand has like a whatever their
It might be nocturnal.
it's a nocturnal, but not nocturnal.
Yeah, it
Like-
might be.
They're all just there are no really good ones out there. They're
And
all
Fire Knock is the other one.
yeah. Fire Knocks are great, but they're like $80 a 3-pack, and they're a pain in the ass to install. They're awesome though.
Why? I'm just noticing that
Oh.
the knock on this is stubbier than the one.
These are
Up here.
secrets that we can't tell people about yet.
All right. So that's one of the things we can't talk
It
about.
looks familiar to one that I bought aftermarket from somewhere.
You guys are being so vague. It's great.
I'm just trying to help them out.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But no, those are our new prototypes we're playing with.
All right.
They're very, very early. They're
What's
still
an
little
advantage
babies.
of something like that? Just
Shorter knocks are going to decrease knock and run out.
what is that term? I'm asking all the questions
Okay.
for the dumb people out
Like
there, like
the
myself.
stupid crap that I was just talking about.
Yeah.
You see how short that throw is?
Yeah. That's why I noticed it. Yeah.
You grab a hold of one of the arrows out of my quiver with a lighted knock in it.
Mhm.
It's twice the length.
Yep.
So
So, if
it's more to grip
if
onto.
it's off,
Or?
well,
Yep.
if it's off at a
It's going to bobble
2000s.
off the string.
so yes,
Ah.
it does that
Oh,
because the
shut
knock
up.
fit. Well, so a couple things. One, the knock fit on most lighted knocks are horrible. You're going to get D loop pinch, and most people aren't prepared to handle that because they don't tie their own D loops or have knock sets. So that's something that just happens. The other thing that happens is as you make this longer and longer and longer, you makes it harder to keep that part concentric and straight. So you're going to have tolerancing issues. So it might be a thousandths off at an
So
angle.
you're just lowering the margin of error
Yep.
for flight.
The closer it
Mhm.
is, the less run out there's going to be, the less tolerancing is going to affect it. So there's less room for error. Like carbon's never going to be perfectly straight. If our carbon's off at a thousandth of an inch and it's over an eighth of an inch from the throat to the knock to the back of the
This
carbon,
reminds me of like torque on a car or something like that.
it's exactly like that.
Like the transferring of energy from one component to another.
And we have not proven how much that eighth of an inch or 3/4 of an inch has, makes a difference yet, but we're in the works for that.
Sure.
We've got a bunch of tests lined up.
You just got to be freaking lobbing arrows 24/7 on a machine
Right.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Like they do
We've
in the
got
car things where it's just like, this car is driven, whatever. It's been beat up and
Yeah,
it's
I
just
mean,
going.
because you got to make it work on a machine to prove that the concept exists, and you got
Yeah.
to prove that the average shooter
Transfers
can
through. And
actually,
they see
because there's stuff you can make a shooting machine do that's not helpful to us at all.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
a lot of people get caught up on some of that stuff where it's like a shooting machine did this, and then just like, well, we're human beings.
Right.
So-
So we're
Yeah.
gonna fuck it all up. What
Yeah,
about
exactly.
the other question I had? So one of the arrows I lost out of my quiver and it got robbed by the bush.
Zaboosh.
Sure.
The quiver I'm using clearly is not designed for the micro diameter
Yep.
arrow shaft. Do you guys
There.
have any recommendations for quivers?
Put that on
hold
your
as well?
on your list of things to build. Cool.
Yeah.
I told this to Isaac like 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Tight spot
Yep.
quiver makes
Okay.
they're adjustable, so you can. There's little wedges
Yep.
in the quiver itself.
I think Isaac said he had done something like he engineered some like home baked BS system to keep the arrows in. I don't
Yeah,
remember
so
what he
did
said,
I.
but
It
maybe it was you.
It involved drywall screws in the rubber holders, but it
I know
worked.
I put some electrical tape on the inside of my old quiver that I had.
I tried that too, but it got schmeary, and then the arrows were getting adhesive all over them. So,
Oh yeah,
But
better when it gets cold out. Then
yep.
Shrivels up.
Kind of a top to bottom list of
Exactly.
quivers that'll work. All the tight spots work. The option archery equivalizers work. The Matthews Low Pro quiver works, and the Q Light and the Aero Web HD until you mess up the grippers. Once you mess up the grippers, they don't work. The new Hoyt quiver works.
What was the first one? Tight spot?
Yeah.
Those are pretty common. People like those. I love my equivalizer. That thing's awesome. I got one right before they were cool, so not one of those guys. And then the Matthews and Hoyt ones, they've got the new inline ones that are pretty sweet, and those do hold things pretty well too. I haven't messed with a lot of other ones. I know like your average ones normally don't work all that great.
Do you think there's like a bow that your arrows shoot better or best out of? Has that been any part of the data kills collection?
well,
Not that you want to say it
bow.
even, but a well.
Yeah, a well-tuned. It depends on the shooter, just like a rifle. Someone asks you, "What's the best rifle in the world?" It's the one that the guy can pick up and shoot the best.
Yeah.
And you might pick that up and go, "This thing's the biggest piece of shit."
Well,
You have the human side.
Because
I mean-
it's the human side of things.
we actually do find some stuff that just doesn't work well for people. And a lot of it comes down to how well the person setting it up can use the equipment. Like if you get a 20-year-old bow and you can set it up perfectly, you're not going to have any problems. Now there's stuff that's going to be newer, more efficient. and
This is
shoot
what
better.
concerns me about getting a new bow because mine works really
Well,
well.
let's get two.
So then, like, I have concerns about switching because if
Well-
I get a new bow and it's nice, new, and fancy, then like, great, how exciting! And then it shoots not as accurate or comfortably as mine. Then I'm not like
Well, what's your bow called?
Bear Empire.
What's the axle to axle on that? Do you know? Like,
No,
Is it?
I'm like the least
is it-
technically
so-
savvy
sure.
person.
Is your arrow as long as the bow?
It's a no. I don't
Mm-mm.
think it is. No.
Yeah. So like,
I'll
with-
tell you, it's short enough to have sliced my finger open.
That
Yeah.
bow is probably 30 to 33 inches axle to axle. It's a longer bow.
So someone
Yeah,
like
sure.
you,
Yeah.
like if someone's coming and saying, "Hey, what kind of bow is going to shoot?" It's not our arrow; it's any
Mhm.
arrow. Because when you're picking a bow, you want to pick the one that's going to give you the most forgiveness out of your setup. That's typically going to be a longer axle to axle or a longer riser and a bow
to your draw length.
compared to your draw length. Like we got 32-inch draws, you're like a hair over, and I'm like a quarter-inch over. And our 32.5-inch axle to axle bows are not very shootable platforms. You can torque the crap out of them. Like my 37-inch target bow, I can put a left hair in it and it will never leave the center. Whereas I put a left hair in my Traverse, it's all over the place. Now, so there's all stuff where like someone like you, if you
need forgiveness.
Yeah, if you have a 30-inch bow,
Mhm.
And you go to a bow that's like a 34-inch, or even like the new Matthews, like from the V3 on, their risers got really long. They shoot a lot like a target bow. You're going to gain a lot of forgiveness because it's a more stable platform. Whereas someone with like a 27-inch draw, like Emily, I think she commented something up there. Yeah, gummies, bacon, and cookies. So that's her. Like she shoots a 34-inch target bow for all the SAS shoots and hunts with a 31-inch bow, but she's got a 27-inch draw, so that platform's very stable for her. And a lot of guys that like those shorter axle-to-axle bows, they'll tune just fine, but it's going to be less forgiving to the shooter. So, and now like Matthews especially, because they've really gotten that long riser, have kind of helped ameliorate. What's the word I'm looking for?
Mediate.
Sure.
Yep.
Kind of make that matter less with a longer riser, but really having a axle to axle length that is a little bit longer or a couple inches longer than your draw length is going to help you out a ton. So
another project we're working on is putting together a tuning series. Just some basic information to get our customers to make these fly straight out of the bow.
Greg's great at that. I just send everyone to Greg.
Right. How many people can you help tune?
what's your phone number?
You don't want my phone number.
How many people I've sent a lot of people to Greg, including myself.
I'll just send people to Greg too.
Our co-founder Tyler. I think Matt Strime came to you. Who else has come to you?
I just helped them build arrows. I got a fletching jig, and I do old
But
school
you
stuff
do
that
bear
these guys
shaft tuning,
shake their head
paper
at.
tuning. You do all of the tuning stuff. Someone's got to get a bow press.
Anybody can do it.
He's got to get one.
You buying it?
I've considered it.
We should
Whatever.
get a bow press down here and do a.
Get yourself a ratchet
build.
strap and
Merry
a 2x4
Christmas.
and make it happen.
Well, I got all that crap.
You can make it happen.
I just don't need to be breaking expensive things.
Just like
Very
put
true.
a hook in each cam and just crank.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
hope
I've
it
seen
doesn't blow
that.
up.
That works fine if you're in the back country with nothing but.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
Sounds
it's
like
all
you're
good.
speaking from experience.
Right. But yeah, there's a bunch of different ways to tune the bow, and we're going to try and keep it as simple as possible because you
Mhm.
can get into the weeds. You can paper tune it at 30 yards, paper tune it at 10 feet. Why? So we're going to try and answer some of those questions.
Mhm.
Broadhead tune, bear shaft tune, and the end goal is to get an arrow to fly straight. Which
Yep. And not just an arrow, any arrow. Like
Yep, all ammunition.
compound bows are built that they'll push a sufficiently stiff arrow without any knock travel and properly set up. You can grab any arrow and should all shoot fairly close with minimal adjustments needed. If you can only shoot one arrow out of your bow, then your bow's just not tuned. You got an arrow that'll work out of it, but it's still wrong.
So would you say that be true when you consider like an HMR versus ZMR?
So like I can right now, I got a bullet hole in paper with my bow. I can take an HMR or a ZMR, and I can go to the calculator and put in different point weights, and they're all going to tune because my bow is set up to where when I break my shot, my knock travels in a straight line.
Mhm.
And we spine all of our arrows out of that calculator so that they all have minimal oscillation and flex on impact.
What was that term you just said?
Flex and then oscillation.
Okay.
So when that arrow gets pushed, it's not
Those two
working like a
words.
wet noodle. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
going to vibrate. It's
Sure.
going to bend, of course. It's going to deflect, but not
Yep.
doing it a lot. So pretty much the way that we're trying to get people to tune their stuff is so that that arrow's leaving in a straight line.
Yep.
And then it's going to continue going straight. When your arrow's going off one way or the other, that's when your bow's
Fishtailing
not, yeah,
or what have you,
or
or
run.
flexing a bunch.
Yeah.
and that's not only moving your point of impact, but also lacking penetration
Mhm.
on your animal. If you hit sideways, you've got all this mass in the back that's going to try and lever off, and anytime you try and do that, you're going to create a lot of friction, which stops the arrow short.
So this is a loaded question, and I know I'm trying to bring the plane in for landing. So this is not the question asked for that. So we're gonna avoid the runway for a second here.
Sure.
But I'm thinking not to cause it's not a drama question, but it is loaded. But how do you guys position yourself with or against the Ashby Foundation and Troy and what he has to say about all of that stuff?
I mean, if you don't have the tools to do something and that's all you can do, you 100% get your arrows to where you can hunt by loading up the point and sending it. It's just, that's not how these bows were built. That's not how they were designed. That's not how they're supposed to work. I mean, You can 100% do it. If that's what you like to do, go for it. It's just not really the correct way to go about it. And as far as the recommendations that come out of all that, as far as point weight, broadhead type, and all that kind of stuff, you're tuning your bow in a way that leaves a lot on the table.
Mhm.
You're also creating a setup that is going to be much less effective hunting, because how many times have you missed an animal? Like, you hit your animal 4 inches low. Why'd you hit it low? Were you 2 yards off on your cut? Were you shooting downhill? I mean, there's all these things that you have to think about that come down to yardage. So if you're going to add 800 grains on your arrow, you're really giving that up. So
Right.
we're a lot more moderate. We kind of are trying to find out what actually makes something penetrate, because it's not an energy problem and it's
Okay.
not a mass problem, because the numbers don't change. So there's a lot there.
No, that's good to know, because it's
Mhm.
it's a. I think the thing I like most of what he had said, as I've watched him in the past, and we've had him on the podcast and stuff, is that broadhead being as sharp as humanly possible. I thought was interesting, because he talked about like how you cut at a microscopic level or something like that, and I was like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
And feeling it firsthand, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's like, I'm gonna die now.
It's sharp.
and I mean, sharpness is huge. And then on the flip side of sharpness, there's also edge retention. Something like our hardened 440C blades, I mean, that's a 55 or 56 Rockwell.
Mhm.
That's going to hold its edge incredibly well. You can push that through an animal. I mean, that S7 right there is 59 Rockwell. It's not getting as sharp just because the blade angle, but you can push it through a lot of stuff. And it's going to, like, you put it on a vest tester, it's going to move 10 points, which is 10 grams of pressure to cut a wire.
Okay.
And that's
Right.
whereas you take something like a softer steel or not heat treated steel, you push it through something, you gain 200 points. So you started off way sharper, but by the time you got through the hide, or maybe you
Dulled
cut a
it up a
rib,
whole
it's now
bunch,
dull.
yeah.
And you don't really want to be dull cutting the important stuff, because now you're pushing it out of the way.
Mhm.
Like that high double lung that everyone shoots never finds their animal. Well, maybe you just hit it and you just push it right out of the way.
Mm.
Because there's, I mean, how often do you find a broadhead on the other side of your animal and it's like, I couldn't cut paper with this. So there's a lot there, and there's a lot of it that's correct, but it's also important to add the nuance.
There's a lot of people are talking about your snack choices. He brings dried bacon. That's genius. That is freaking
So
genius.
it's actually not dried
Oh.
bacon.
It's just-
I
is it raw?
actually got one upstairs.
Okay.
I can bring this bag down and kind of give you guys a
Yeah.
snack show and tell. But
Ben's got his snacks out west dialed in.
yeah, so we start off, we take a gallon Ziploc bag. It's 8 gummy snacks, 2 granola bars, 2 beef sticks, and then a bag of pre-cooked bacon. And then we go with a bag of oatmeal with a little bit of protein powder and brown sugar. And then we go with either like a honey stinger waffle or something like that. Then I do a Pop-Tart. And then I do like a little bag of cookies. And then we also do like 2 freeze-dried meals.
I just eat that all on day one.
Right?
All the
Oh no,
Pop-Tarts.
that's for one day.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's like kind of how I roll with that. I'll normally like have one of those meals for breakfast. So
You're how old?
25.
There you go.
The pre-cooked bacon.
It's
That's a
And
good
you
idea.
just open that bag up and
When I did a Boundary Water trip a number of years ago, I found 2 YouTubers, the Hungry Hammock or something like that, or Hungry. I think it was Babblefish 5 actually,
fish fry. Okay.
and he did something called the Hungry Hammock Hangover or something like that. Babblefish 5 YouTube channel, and he did all this meal prepping stuff. And there's also the Yankee Prepper. And the Yankee Prepper said something interesting. He's like, you want to tell who's really good in the backcountry? Look at someone who has clean hands. You see these photos feel like dirty hands. I don't wash my hands. He goes, if you're good at what you do outdoors, you have clean hands. And I thought that was a weird point to make.
I must be really bad at
And this guy was like
Yeah.
really like squared away with this shit, like bag choices, everything. It was very,
man.
very like raw content. Shit quality. But the meat of the content was so good.
Yep.
I don't know if this guy was like an Army Ranger in a past life or what, but he was good. And then so this Babblefish 5 guy said, you go to REI or wherever you're going to go for backpacking stuff. When I was young, I'm going to go Boundary Waters. Let's go to REI. What if probably 25 or something like that. And rather than buying all these freeze-dried, shitty, vacuum-sealed meals that cost insane amount of dollars, he's like, you can just cook this in your own house. Use your oven as your dehydrator. Everyone has a dehydrator in their house. Use your oven. Set it at a low temp. I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then you vacuum seal it, and then you put parchment paper in there, and that can act as your fire starter. I was like, so I did it to the letter. I did everything. So
Yeah.
except we cooked, I think I cooked venison chili, venison spaghetti, barbecue venison spaghetti, venison mac, like all of this stuff, right? Stew.
Yep.
And then I just spread on these cookie sheets real thin, put in the oven, dehydrated. It came out. It looked not good.
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't going to work. But we just packed it and went with it and didn't question it. And we got up there. We poured into our we had a little jet boil stove thing, whatever the hell it was, $5 on Amazon, and poured the stuff in there, a little bit of water. It reheated like the day it was cooked, and it was absolutely incredible. And we started fires, no problem.
Sure.
We used the oven as the torch for wet wood and the parchment paper. For
that's
fire.
cheating.
It was pretty cool. Yeah, well, yeah, it was cheating. But I was like, you're smarter, not harder,
The isobutane stove for starting a fire that's a life hack right there.
That's pretty cool. But so whatever, packing for like that kind of stuff, it was kind of fun to do all of that ourselves. It's very DIY. These days, there's no way I DIY it.
Yeah, I like the attention span. I'll get sidetracked 20 minutes in, and it takes forever.
Yeah. Anyway. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys, and coming in studio.
Yeah, we totally appreciate
I like people. I love our virtual guests. We do that all the time, but there's just something better, I think, about in person when we can. It's better for me when I don't interrupt people every 2 seconds.
Yep. I don't live too far from here, so I actually know where Oconomowoc is.
Yeah, it's not
I have
bad.
no idea where I'm at.
You're in the OK Center podcast. You didn't know you're concussed.
Yep.
I'm scared.
Does Mom be bringing meatloaf later?
Meatloaf. No.
We didn't have anybody
definitely
else
hanging out now.
with questions.
No other callers. If there were questions I missed, we can always go back and grab them. But this will hit podcast land tonight. We produce the same night we record, so I expect you guys covered a lot of ground here. It's good information.
Yeah.
I know it's like kind of post season and it's late season going into it, but you calling someone? Oh, you calling into the show?
Yeah.
That's going to cause a go feedback.
Okay, we're not gonna do that.
It's like I recognize that voice.
Uh-huh.
I've been doing this for too long.
I didn't want Brad to feel left out, like no one wanted to talk to him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'll end the live broadcast. I'll end the TikTok. Thanks, TikTok, for tuning in. There's probably a question over there that I didn't get to see because it doesn't feed into the same stuff. But yeah, you guys have a good night. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
That's awesome.